Hi, listeners, and welcome back to Creative Force with your host, Beryl. We have with us today Leslie Stone, who is an entrepreneur and queen of cannabis. Hey, Leslie, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful today, Beryl. How are you?
Good. I'm great, thank you. Well, cannabis is one of the latest businesses that people are involving themselves in, whether it's to purchase, find information, or actually become a business partner. So please tell us your involvement with or being queen of cannabis.
Well, as the queen of cannabis, I help people find their way in this industry, whether you want to explore it as a patient, an investor, or an entrepreneur.
Right. And how long have you been in this business?
I've been in this business now 6 years.
Okay.
I started off just like you, kind of curious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Went to a trade show, the first one that they did here in New York, CWCB.
Mm-hmm.
It took place 6 years ago in June. I was there, and like everyone else, I had the misconception of what was about to take place. I thought it was going to be like this whole smoke fest or something going on. And when I got there, I was amazed at the people I saw because it was all these electoral officials and all these professional people and major CEOs from corporations. So it kind of took me for a whirlwind. I wasn't
Right.
expecting that. And at that moment, I realized that this was serious and this was going to be big business, and it was
Absolutely.
starting.
Okay.
And that was 6 years ago. So now, fast forward, now here we are,
Yep. 2019. Yep.
2019, and now legalized marijuana and hemp is mainstream.
Right.
I'm so excited about that because I am a media company. I entered into this space as a media provider.
Right.
So Let's Talk Cannabiz, which is my parent company or the first company I started, is a media marketing agency.
Okay, but now since you said that, let's give the listeners the name of your website while we're here.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to check us out and find out what we are all about, it's an educational hub of information and opportunities. You can find us at Let's Talk Cannabiz, and that's CANNABIZ.TV. So let's talk cannabis.tv.
That's great. All right, so now you have it, listeners. So we'll also repeat it at the end of the show.
Okay.
So with this new business of cannabis, especially for the people who may not know exactly what it is, let's give them some information as to cannabis, meaning marijuana with THC versus CBD, hemp, and what all that means. What are the definitions of those, etc.
Okay. I think what we're going to do, Beryl, is do a quick Cannabis 101.
Okay, good.
First thing is we have to introduce one of the biggest problems with the legalized marijuana industry was that there was so much stigma associated with this industry that the first thing we need to do is learn how to speak to it and how to speak about it because of that whole taboo that was associated with marijuana as a Control 1 substance. When we say pot and weed and ganja and all these things, it has a derogatory connotation attached to it.
Reefer madness.
Reefer madness,
That's right.
getting high. When you say things like that, it's like, okay. So one of the first things we must do is, in order to reprogram our mindsets, although we may talk about the same thing, we're talking about it differently. So we
Yes.
speak about it differently.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the first thing we need to do is introduce terminologies. So in the world of legalized marijuana and hemp and cannabis, we do not use words like reefer, pot,
Right.
ganja, anything of that nature. We refer to it as flower or cannabis.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, those are the scientific names of it. It's a flower,
Right.
and that flower is cannabis.
Right.
Okay, so that's how we reference it. Now we all know what cannabis is, but most of us don't know the medicinal properties of it or why it has all these therapeutic effects.
Right.
So now to understand that a little bit, you have to understand what cannabis is made of.
Right. Now, CBD is for cannabidiol.
Cannabinoids, but that's what I was getting there.
Okay. All
So
right.
you have to understand what cannabis is made of.
All right.
Cannabis is made of, there's a lot of different components to it, but the two primary ones and the ones that we are all familiar with and the ones you hear about all the time right now is THC. And THC is the compound or the component of the plant that gets us high, that
Right.
causes a psychoactive effect.
Okay.
And that is what has been classified, or the reason why it was classified a controlled one substance. CBD, which is cannabinoids, is the medicinal benefit of the plant. And that's what's sweeping the nation right now as we have gone mainstream with cannabis being a medicine.
Right.
So now, why is CBD so effective? That's really the question that everyone should be asking.
Yes.
The reason why, truthfully, is because it's part of our natural anatomy. We have in our system something called an endocannabinoid system. Okay, our endocannabinoid system is the system within our own anatomy that helps us to repair itself. Okay, so let's think about this. Before we had pharmaceutical drugs, when we got sick,
Right.
what did we do?
We went natural. We went holistic. We went to the garden and picked the herbs that we needed to help cure whatever it was that ailed us.
Exactly. So if we reference that framework there and going back to the natural holistic remedies that the earth provides us,
Right.
then we already know that we can heal ourselves.
That's right.
Okay, I believe what has happened in today's world is just that because we're modernized and we've evolved and to where we are now in the information age, and over that involvement, it has taken us away from using natural resources
Right.
because they give us so many artificial, processed,
Well, I mean, just
pasteurized
think
things.
about it at night when you're watching those commercials about various chemically produced medicines. The side effects that are given is enough to frighten you from even wanting to try it if you have any sense. Like, oh, you can choke, your tongue could swell up to twice the size. If your heart stops beating, it's almost to that point. It's like ridiculous when you hear the side effects of these chemically induced medications.
Well, it's scary.
Yeah.
Because most of the times the side effects are worse than the problem that you're actually seeking a remedy
It's
for.
like, who
so
would want to take that?
yeah, but you know what? We've been conditioned to do so,
True.
and I've seen how side effects impact a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But the greatest thing about cannabis and hemp is all natural.
All natural.
There
So,
are no side effects.
some of the benefits of CBD I know might be anxiety. If you have anxiety or a panic disorder, it could help with that. Can you give us some other benefits that CBD can help you with?
Well, CBD cannabinoids can be used for a number of different things. It alleviates chronic pain. It helps with sleep disorders,
Right.
mood modulation, and neuropathy. So anywhere, pretty much any affliction that you're dealing with, this could be a natural holistic remedy.
Right.
Okay, and we're looking at this as something to be used as an alternative prevention as well, because once again, this will not give you any side effects.
Right.
This helps you to maintain your day-to-day functionality. It helps to increase your appetite. You know, it helps with mobility. So,
And with anything else, you should probably talk to your doctor about it
well, yes.
in terms of, so you know, like how much to use or.
Well, I'll tell you, you know what? Because it's so new and it has never been really used like this in the mainstream. And you got to remember, when we used to use all our home remedies, there were no real measurements to
True.
it. You know,
That's
it's just
true.
like you kind of put it together and it works.
Yes.
So we're kind of in that mode right now, whereas a doctor will certify you, a medical marijuana doctor can certify you, but truthfully, no one can actually diagnose you yet. We don't have enough research and data to show
Right.
that, so we're still compiling that information
Right.
with patients that's coming on board now. The one thing I will say to that is that we are all individuals. Our bodies are different. Our bodies react to things differently. So that is really going to be on a case by case basis.
Basis. Absolutely. Okay. So, in terms of the CBD, it comes in different forms. And what are some of those and how would you use them?
Well, there are a lot of different ways to consume cannabis. And I think that's one of the grayest areas. And the misconception that most people have is that you have to smoke cannabis.
Right.
You don't.
No.
You don't have to smoke it at all. I mean, and that's what's so marvelous about it now, because there are so many ways to consume this plant.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
It should be something that would be comfortable to almost anyone.
Well, let's just say this: there's a way for you. And what I mean by that is that one of the things I've prided myself in doing was educating people on consumption methods, because that was one of the things that I found to be eye-opening to myself when I found out the different ways to consume cannabis, because I too was blinded by the misinformation, and I only knew what I was taught,
Right.
which wasn't the right things. So once I learned that there were many different ways to consume marijuana, I realized that now I can help remove the stigma, because most people that I know that are opposed to marijuana, they're opposed to smoking it and they're opposed to the scent.
Right.
For example, I don't smoke cigarettes. So I oppose the smell and scent of cigarettes.
Right.
I do.
Right.
Does it bother me when somebody smokes an e-cigarette around me? No, not at all. So like I tell people, I used to say I don't like smoking. No, it's not that I don't like smoking. I don't like the scent
Right.
that smoking leaves
Right.
behind.
Right.
Especially when you're around other people. And
Also,
there's
there's secondhand smoke.
Right,
too,
but that's what I'm
so-
trying to say. So most people really wasn't opposed, because let's just say if you never smoked, then you can't say you're opposed to smoking.
No.
You're opposed to the smell.
The secondhand
And
smoke,
right.
the effect of it.
Right. So what I realized was that most people, because when you talk to a lot of people, they're like, I don't smoke cannabis, and you ask them, have they ever? They've never smoked it.
Right.
So what that says
But
is
then
that-
there's also a difference between marijuana and cannabis, which is being used for medicinal purposes. Because to me, marijuana means it has THC.
okay, well, let's clarify that now.
Good.
Marijuana and cannabis are the same.
All right.
It's just two different terminologies, but it means the exact same thing. Okay. Now, when we're talking about, if you want to look for the plant species, because there are two plant species when it comes to the cannabis plant. There's
Right.
cannabis and there's hemp.
Right.
Okay. Now, hemp has no THC in it whatsoever. So anything that's derived from a hemp-based plant will not have any traces of THC in it, and you do not need to genetically modify it.
Right.
However, if you are to derive something from cannabis, it has THC,
Right.
and you must genetically modify it to extract or reduce the THC levels down to whatever
Right.
it is you're trying to
Okay,
reach.
cool. Got you. Got you. Do you got it, listeners? All right, so continue on.
So, like I said, so when you're looking at taking your medicine, what's going to be the best consumption method for you? I always ask people, I start with just a basic conversation like, "Oh, so what do you like to do? I ask, do you smoke cigarettes? They tell me they smoke cigarettes. Do you I ask them if they drink? Because once again, any of those ways, anything that a person does
Right.
truthfully right now, we can infuse it with cannabis.
Right.
Cannabis is in beauty products. Cannabis is in in different consumption methods, such as edibles. So, you like to eat, we can put it in your foods. You can have it in beverages. You can have it in a capsule form. You can have it as a topical, like a cream to rub on you.
Right.
You can have it in what they call as a transdermal, like a patch to stick on you. You can use oils to vape. You can use oils to cook with.
You get tincture under your tongue.
You can use tinctures. They have it in lip balms. They have it in distillate. There's just it goes on and on and on and on.
Wow.
And I'm sure there's a lot that I don't even know of as of yet. That's yet to come. But the thing is, what's right for you?
Right. Exactly. So what? All right. So I'm a new customer. And I think for me, I would be interested in either an oil because it helps to relieve pain. And I may have some arthritic pain maybe in my hand or neuropathy, pain in my feet. So what would you suggest that I use?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would want to pretty much talk about the pain levels that you experience. What are your pain levels?
Not great.
Okay, let's talk from a scale 1 to 10.
All right, 1 to 10, I'd say maybe a 5.
Okay. And is this on a day? You have this every day?
No, it comes and goes.
Sporadic. Have you noticed anything?
Intermittently.
Okay. Have you, excuse me, noticed anything that kind of triggers it, or does it happen during a certain day,
No.
activity or anything?
No.
Okay. So that sounds more like it's degenerative.
Okay.
Okay, meaning that it's just part of the body aging.
That's right.
There's not anything that's specifically triggering. There's no activity
No.
that you're doing.
No.
Okay. Now, what are you experiencing?
So I experience a little pain under my thumb. And also, like I said, neuropathy isn't really pain. It's like a numbness in your feet from diabetes. So would that be more prone for oils to rub it in or it's not severe pain.
Okay. Well, it sounds like to me what if I would probably start you on. I would start you on a daily supplement of a tincture because it sounds like you have a lot of nerves. Like you say, this is neuro.
True,
Okay.
true.
So you have neuropathy issues that we're dealing with and probably a little inflammation that's
Right,
causing that
true,
pain.
true.
So I would start you definitely on a tincture and a topical.
Okay.
That's where I would start because once again, depending on the level of the pain that you're experiencing, if it's very severe pain, then we want to have that tincture.
Yeah, thank God, no.
Okay.
It's just, it's like uncomfortable.
But the good thing is with the tincture, it will keep it at a level that doesn't exasperate. We don't want it to get any worse. So that would be a great place for you to start because you're dealing with neuro, like I say, with the nerves.
Yes.
So once again, a nice tincture. I would say probably starting you off just to give you a good dosage. Since you're not experiencing severe pain, I think 250 milligrams would be a good point.
Right.
So
Does that mean like a drop or?
Yeah, it would actually be just like in one of this bottle here. This is actually a tincture. Okay. Now this is 100 milligrams. This is 100 milligrams. The entire bottle is 100 milligrams.
Okay.
Okay. So when you're actually using the syringe to give yourself a drop, then you're using maybe 5-10 milligrams at a time per dosage. Okay.
All right.
Now once again with this is a very effective instant way to get relief. And the reason being is because the time it takes to work. Like as soon as you put it underneath your tongue,
Right.
you put a drop there, you hold it for about a good minute or so.
Right.
Then you swallow it down. It goes directly into
I've
your
used
bloodstream.
tinctures before, but I think it might have been either like rosemary or a little bit more familiar type of herb that you might use for different issues.
Okay. Well,
But I know it works almost instantaneously.
Well, let's just say this. When we're talking about rosemary, we're talking about turmeric.
Right.
When we're talking about
Moringa.
sage, these different things.
Tulsi.
These are all plant species.
That's right.
These are all things that have medicinal benefits for the human anatomy.
Right,
Okay?
right.
We all know that. That's why we've been using these things for so many years. Okay, so a tincture is a very good way, like to go. Like I said, this is something you use. You put a drop under your tongue. It goes instantly into your bloodstream,
Right.
and it gives you an effect immediately.
Nice.
And then, like I said, for you, I would also, because you're experiencing those, the pains like that, I would use a topical. Okay, I would use either one, like it could be a cream or it could be a gel. Okay,
Right.
so those would be the two places I would start you off.
Okay.
Initially, because based on your assessment there, I would start you with these two. You would use it like you use your tincture daily, like a daily supplement, just like taking a
Right.
vitamin, and then you would use this more so as needed.
Okay.
These actual topicals as needed when you're experiencing the pain. We also have the same here. This is a lotion, a CBD lotion.
Right.
So this could be applied just like the same as the cream. But now we're talking about, like, let's say if you wanted to really utilize some CBD from beauty, because it helps with anti-aging, it helps with
Right.
our skin, it helps with
Nice.
acne. So it has all those benefits as well. So if you wanted to use it more like a mask,
Right.
a face cream,
Right.
so then you can use it in the form of a beauty product. One of the most common things, well, what most people, or we thought, was, most people that are familiar with cannabis, they are familiar from smoking. So it was pretty easy to introduce the vape, okay?
Right.
The vape is something that most people are familiar with because everybody knows about a smoker. People that are opposed to smoking normally are pretty cool with the vape just due to the fact that it does not have a scent.
Right.
Okay, vaping is taking the liquid, applying heat, and the heat creates a moisture,
Right.
and it vaporizes, creates the condensation of it. So this is what is very popular amongst most people, and mainly just because it's something you can take anywhere. No one's looking at you differently. No one can tell if you're smoking
Right.
whatever you're smoking versus an e-cigarette. Okay. Good thing about the vape pens, though, they have two types of vape, which I brought into the studio today. We have a refillable and we have a disposable. Now, let's start with the refillable. The refillables are, to me, I prefer a refillable pen just because I find them to be more cost effective. And because I vape regularly, I don't feel a need that I want to get a disposable one and However, there may be occasions that you just pick up one.
Right.
Refillables are just that. They're refillable. It's really two parts to it. You have the charger, and then you have the actual cartridge. Your cartridge is what contains the oil that you're vaping, okay? So you actually attach the cartridge to the pen, which is the charger. You hit the button or however you activate it. It warms up. It turns the oil into a vapor that you inhale, okay? So this is a vaporizer. And then we also have a disposable one. You can also see they come in different styles, designs, to fit your lifestyle.
So what is the price point for, let's say, this, and maybe you could give us an idea of some of the other products?
Okay. Well, just speaking of the price points for a disposable pen, now this is on the higher side just because it's all fancy and it's pretty.
Yes,
and
yes,
it's colorful and
yes.
everything. So this disposable pen right here is actually $40.
Okay.
Okay. It's 100 milligrams. Okay. It's all natural, and it's Girl Scout cookies. Okay,
All right.
so it tells you the flavor. So it has, I think, normally tell you how many puffs, 200 puffs. So after 200 puffs, thereabout, it's
Right.
done. Once you finish, you throw it away.
Right, okay.
You dispose of it. Now the refillable, once again, it depends on price point. You have to actually you're gonna purchase two things when your first time, because you need the pen itself,
Yes.
and then you need the charger. However, you do not have to repeatedly buy the pen. You just replace the charger.
Right.
Replace the cartridge.
Yes.
Now, what these pens cost varies. Once again, it's about lifestyle. They have pens that start about $15, which are very plain. They're plastic, black, nothing fancy, not appealing to the eye. Then you have this one. This pen right here is actually $40. Okay. It has a good lifeline to it. It's a little chic. It gives you a little look of elegance and
Right.
class. We have some that run up to be a couple $100s. We have some that are blinged out. I think the most expensive vape pen is out here. It's a $5,000 one that's got some gems on it, to my
Right.
understanding.
Okay.
All right. So it's all about the
A little
lifestyle.
bling.
Yeah, a little bling about.
So one of the other main questions I have in terms of, I would say, quality, in terms of what you're purchasing. Again, at the end of the program, we're going to give you your website, and I believe you can buy these products on your website.
Yes, you can.
So, and in terms of the legalities, all of this is legal in New York City.
Yes, everything
Okay.
is, well, first of all, there is a huge black market. Let's talk about both the black market and the legal market. Well, one thing I do as an educator, and the reason why I created my platform was to educate people how to operate in this business legally.
Good.
Very important. There's a lot of people of color that have been in the industry in the black market, and so I'm trying to help convert them into a legal marijuana business. The key to being legal is to comply. Okay,
Right.
just like anything else, you must comply. Compliance and regulatory is one of the most critical areas in this industry, and it is the area that anyone that enters must be fully aware of if they want to sustain themselves.
Yeah, sure. As a business. So what I guess I'm asking is the quality of the product. It's like, how can you sort of guarantee that you're getting a quality product and nothing crazy?
Well, the way I guarantee that you're getting a quality product, everything that we have on our website is pharmaceutical grade. What that means is that it's been tested. So all the products that we sell are 100% compliant based on the states that they are produced within. Now, how do we know they're compliant? Because we require the necessary documentation to solidify that they're compliant. And those things you must be aware of to understand and know that you're getting products that have been tested from what's called seed to sale.
Okay.
So if it's compliant, it's tested from seed to sale. We can, from the time you get the seed to the time the consumer gets this in his hand, we can tell you where it happened. Every hand, every
Right.
action that seed went through.
Right.
From
right.
cultivation to distribution.
And is it GMO'd?
That's not GMO because that means genetically modified.
Right.
No, it's not GMO. But now they have cloning seeds. I don't think that's what you're referring to. I think what you may be wanting to ask without knowing is that how do you qualify to find out if they are compliant?
Right.
That really comes from lab tests. Okay,
All right.
the lab tests. And these are what's called certificate of analysis, COAs. And COAs are regulated by the government, okay? So they must mandate and stay within the government's benchmarks. And the most important thing about all of this is because this is human consumption. We are consuming these products,
Yes.
whether we're eating them, vape them, or whatever the case may
Absolutely.
be. So first and foremost is the safety of the consumer. I
Important.
repeat, guys, the safety of the consumer. Now, the problem right now with a lot of people entering into the marketplace, and it's exciting because it's new, but what's scary is because you have so many people at home making these products in their kitchen, and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a science behind it. There's a science that, when you're talking about temperatures and pressure points and consistencies, all this is based on scientific.
Exactly. I'm glad I asked that question.
So that's when we get a little leery. What will happen, unfortunately, Beryl, is you're going to see over time people will get sick and they will die. And at that time, it would heighten the importance of having quality tested products. Because the average consumer, just like anyone else, what happens a lot of times, it's people, they say, they want to get their card, their medical marijuana card, right? They get the card and they go into the dispensary, and the products are twice as 2-3 times more than what they pay from the black market.
Right.
So what does that do? That runs them right back to the black market.
Exactly.
But what's going to bring them back to that dispensary is because over time, people are going to get sick, people are going to die. It's going to be a lot of things happening in that black market because those products are not tested. There are impurities, there are pesticides, there
It
are
could be
all things.
anything on it.
Exactly.
It could be anything on it.
And the thing is, a lot of people that's making these entrepreneurs, and not to take away from anyone that want to get into the business, but do understand that you are providing a product that humans are consuming. So if something happens to anyone that you've given your product to, there's a lot about liability that could fall on you.
You need quality control.
Right. So this is where all of that comes in with the COAs, with these lab tests. That's about quality control, quality assurance, and being tracked and tested from seed to sale.
Very important.
Very important.
So, with all of this in mind, the business that you are in, you here in New York, you have places where you give seminars and you teach people what the products are, how to be maybe entrepreneurs. Could you give us a little bit of insight into some of that and what's happening and where they can go?
Yeah, well, what we've done is, well, what I found after I got into the industry was the biggest thing was that I was misinformed. What I thought I knew, I didn't know at all. The information I had gotten was the wrong information. So what happened was I actually did a paper in college, believe it or not, called Marijuana, a Drug or Medicine. And it was at that moment that I realized that marijuana had so many medicinal benefits to it, because I was reading works that was cited by the American Medical Journal Association. And all these different works was telling me, that they had already documented, done the research, and they knew that it had all these medicinal benefits to it. But at the same time, it was legalized and categorized as a controlled one substance drug. So I knew at that moment, or once I started to see it get legal, that it was going to be very important to educate the people. The people had to be educated. They had to be, or shall I say, re-educated, okay, because they had been misinformed. So my mission is to educate the
Right.
world on this plant. So what have I done to do it? Because I have to reach different people differently.
Right.
So in order to do so, we've done a number of different things. We launched the Cannabis Learning Center. We did our open house in April right in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. We're
Okay.
super excited about it. We chose Crown Heights because we wanted to also address some of the social equity component to make sure that the neighborhoods that was marginalized and the families that have been impacted the most by the war on drugs also receive the benefits from this legalized industry. But in order to do so, a lot of these people need education and training.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we decided to be in the forefront of creating a platform that will address those people that are kind of always overlooked just because of their backgrounds. Just
So
like
now this place gives information about the product and or about you becoming involved as a distributor or an entrepreneur. What?
Well, it's not really so much about the product. This place
Okay.
is a learning center.
All right.
Okay, so a learning center gives you an understanding of the business.
All right.
Okay, it's the business of cannabis, and the business of cannabis talks about cultivation. It talks about distribution. It talks about medicine. We're talking horticulture. We're talking about marketing. So we are creating a safe space. So the Cannabis Learning Center is actually a safe space for people to go to receive the necessary information and education that's needed to become a part of this industry. Now, what we're looking at is for if you want to be a patient. You come to us. If you're an investor, you come to us.
Right.
If you're an entrepreneur, you come to us, because we're going to have the different type of courses and workshops and seminars
Love
to
it.
provide whomever the place to go to get that necessary
Okay.
information.
And where is this located at?
This is located in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, on 750 Nostrand Avenue. It's between Sterling and Park.
Okay. All right. And when are your next classes, or where can people get information about that again?
Okay, well, they can actually go to the Black Lady Theater website, theblackladytheater.com, or they can also go to letstalkcannabiz.tv. In addition to that, you can also come to our Instagram, follow us on any of our social media platforms, because we promote a lot of those events there as well.
Beautiful.
Now, our next class will be on the 29th at the Cannabis Learning Center, and that class is going to be THC versus CBD.
Okay, and that's June 29th.
June 29th.
All right.
But then our next workshop in Harlem will be this Saturday on June the 22nd, and that's going to be cannabis entrepreneurship.
Okay.
We're going to have a couple New York-based cannabis entrepreneurs, business owners, come in and give you their insight, their challenges, and how they participated and found their way in this industry.
Right. And where is that going to be?
That's going to be held at Londale's on 139th and Frederick Douglass in Harlem.
Right.
It's going to be Saturday, the 22nd, from 1 to 3 p.m.
All right. And does it cost anything to come? Go
Yes.
ahead.
Now, some of our things are free. Some of them do have a cost. it's from free to up to about $200, depending on the course or the workshop. What I will tell you that the workshops, of course, you don't get certificates, but anything that you do at the Cannabis Learning Center, you do get a certificate for
All right,
because
great.
it's a class.
All right. And do you have any other workshops like the one at Lundell's? Do you have a date for anything beyond Saturday?
Well, we have this Saturday, the 22nd. We have the 29th. Then we're doing an event on the 27th in Midtown. We have a lot of things happening.
And we can get that information.
All on the website. Go
right.
to Let's Talk Cannabiz, and that's CANNABIZ.TV. And also, if you want class information for the Cannabis Learning Center, check out theblackladytheater.com.
All right, beautiful. And you're on Instagram and Facebook?
Yes, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter.
Okay, now. All right. A bit more time.
Okay. Well, one of the things, Beryl, because you and I are women, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because there's a lot of benefits for women using cannabis. Now, when it comes to the woman's body,
Yes.
this has always been hush hush.
Yes.
Something
Time
that
to
was
whisper.
time, like it's the whisper, it's the unspoken. Okay.
That's right.
And unfortunately, it's been to the point that women there's a stigma put on a woman as she ages, and that stigma comes by lack of information and open discussions.
Yes.
I believe. Just recently, I learned something that was very profound to me, and to the point that it opened my eyes to the fact that I need to create a dialogue behind this.
Okay.
And that's why I want to speak to you.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to hear this one. Okay.
Well, first of all, I brought in a product today. This is a lube. Okay. Now, this is a sexual lube that is created with cannabis.
Yes.
Now, there's such an interesting story behind this. The grower that creates this product is a woman. Okay. Now, she's a woman that recently went through a hysterectomy.
Right.
So this is why she created this product, because she was experiencing some, sexual dryness and things of that nature that she didn't know what to do. She didn't know who to talk to. And unfortunately, there was no platforms that addressed it. So she decided to kind of, take matters into her own hand.
That's right.
And she created this sex lube. It says, "Get high, not dry."
Loving it.
Now, but what happened in speaking to her and learning why she created this product, I also learned that there's a lot of information out here that women don't know. Once again, when we're talking about hysterectomies, when we're talking about menstrual cycles, when we're talking about menopause and premenopause, I just learned something so revolutionary to me that I didn't know, because I thought menopause took place in women once you hit, I don't know, 50, 60, 70. Right. I don't know. I just knew it was much older women.
Right.
And the reason why I had that conception was because everything you see on television when you show a woman in menopause, like I know a commercial right now is two women, but they look like grandmothers. These women look like 60, 70 years old. I just found out from having this conversation with this grower that women start premenopause in their 30s.
That's true.
And most women are doing menopause in their 40s nowadays.
Wow.
And I believe most women have no clue what they're going through when their bodies is going through these changes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a discussion we must have.
Absolutely.
And I'm really ready to talk about it more and really shed light on how therapeutic cannabis can be to women in sexuality.
Right. So
that's something that we're going to have to set up a couple other things.
What is the price point for that?
Now, I'll tell you, I got this recently. I don't want to misquote you. I'm not for sure of her price point. I do have a lube that I work with, and it goes for $69.99.
Okay,
so
great.
I'm not for sure of her exact price point because this is my sample product.
Right. Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I'm trying it out.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to get back to us?
TMI.
So great. So now we have another product, another use that will be helpful to, I'm sure, a great deal of people.
Well, I think it's not just another use, but it's the demographics that we don't talk about
Right.
when it comes to sex and
Yes.
sexuality, and that's women.
That's right.
One thing that the grower said to me, and this is what really triggered this whole thing about, yes, you're going to do this, Leslie. You're going to open up this dialogue, and you're going to raise awareness to us for us women.
Right.
Because what happened when men started to experience their difficulties with their sexuality, they
Right.
addressed it right away. Not only did they address it, but they made it public and they mainstreamed it, and they created a solution for it.
Yeah, Viagra.
There you go, right?
But
It's
it-
never
no,
been done
it's-
for the woman.
it's
It's still because nobody's even talking about it.
like,
It can't be said. I never listen. We can't even say you get dry.
That's
Okay, it's forbidden for us. But that's why now we must open that door and open that conversation because
Absolutely.
not only do we experience this, but there's solutions for it.
Right.
But we will not know the solutions if we never talk about it.
Right, and share the information.
Exactly. So I was just I was enlightened to receive the information, and I'm just as excited to share that information with other women
Great. Yes,
as well.
Yes, yes. So you heard it here on Creative Force from Leslie Stone. All right, ladies. So with that in mind, I think we can wrap this session up. It
Okay.
was wonderful having you.
Well, thank you. It was a
You
pleasure
have
being
given
here.
us so much information and education about cannabis and its uses. Thank you again, Leslie Stone.
Well, thank you.
All right.
And tune in for the next time.
Thank you, listeners. Ciao. Come back.
Oh, and I will say, do remember in the green rush, money grows on trees.